All over again.
All over again? Start all over again.
Okay.
Okay, man?
Okay, here we go
Okay,
again.
cool.
Ready?
You're the man.
Yes.
Hey, yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of What Do I Know, where we will speak to interesting people with amazing stories. Hopefully, we can tap into their creative minds so that we too can improve our own professional and personal lives. Now, today we are joined by my co-host, Mr. Perthpal Singh, as well as Mr. Sharudin. How are you doing, sir?
Hello, good.
All right. How long have you guys known each other?
Whoa, okay, so, man, I met you first time in 1990, probably 94. I was in Celcom, young executive dealing with top-notch consultants, and at that time, Sharudin was at the top of his game.
And I was still in diapers.
You're in diapers, man. Sharudin is the top dog in the industry, man. And that's why we met. And yeah, Din, you remember that?
Yeah, that was ages ago, I believe. But yeah, now that you mention it, I can vaguely remember, but you need to refresh my memory a little bit.
Yeah, so a little bit about Sharudin. Look, Din, I must tell you this to your face. You were instrumental in helping me do what I do today. So for all the people out there, this is an amazing time for me to sit beside my mentor. I was a young executive meeting a lot of consultants, and there comes Sharudin with all that energy, master business developer. And then he talked to me, said, would you like to do some stringing work? And you invited me to a program in Kuala Kubu Baru.
Yes,
With a
I
client,
remember that.
I think it was National Panasonic. And I remember you asking me to run a 2-hour module on leadership and followership.
Right.
And that's where I came across Lidzinger's work, Lidzinger and Schaefer. And in that 3 days I was there, I did a 2 hours workshop, just 2 hours. I was scared shit, man. But the best part was at the end of the third day when we were wrapping up, you cut me a check for 3,600 ringgit, man.
Oh, 3,006 back then. Big money.
3,600 for a 2-hour fucking job. And I look at him and I'm thinking like, oh, I just did 2 hours. He said, yeah, but you're a consultant. You spend your 3 days with me. I said, but I was learning. He said, well, but I did use you. When I look at the 3,006 check, I'm thinking, hell, this can be a regular thing. And I thought, maybe being a training consultant will be the thing that I want to do. So the money was a lure, man. But eventually, it's just that the learning that takes place. And we're going to talk about that in a while later.
That's
so
right.
really, then you were fundamental in developing me and Learning Edge, really.
Well, I'm glad you say that, because when I started the business, it was out of fun, I decided to do training business because first, I don't want a business that don't have inventory.
Okay.
Second, I don't want to have staff. Third, I don't want to have rental of office. And fourth, I decided to do the business because I said, what kind of business I can do that I will still do if I am not paid to do it. So that's how I come up with training. So when I started the training business, it is a concept where I'm offering an alternative lifestyle for ambitious people, energetic people who wants to go out and do business, but just like me, don't want to have all these headaches of all these overheads and all that, So that's how I started.
Yeah. So a bit of your background, if you can just enlighten all of us.
Okay.
Let the audience
Yeah.
who's watching at home learn a bit more about you. Like, where were you born, for example?
Okay, I was born in Kuala Terengganu, but I grew up in Chukai, Kemaman.
Orang Gano lah ni.
Well, my parents from the West Coast,
Okay.
but because I was born in Terengganu, I would consider myself as anak Terengganu.
Okay.
Yeah. So Chukai Kemaman at that time was pretty laid back before the discovery of petroleum.
Hold on, is it even on the map, Chukai?
Chukai is Texas, you know.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, Texas. That's the Texas in Malaysia.
Chukai. Okay, okay.
So
I mean, the only Chukai I know is the LHD and Chukai, mate. I mean, and that's not a very fond memory, you know. So,
yeah,
Anda di Chukai.
di Chukai. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, tell me a bit. So you were born there, and then you grew up in Taiping, wasn't it?
Taiping was Taiping is my parents' hometown.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where my grandmother used to live. Yeah, but most of the time I spend my days in Chukai, and when I in secondary school, I went to Sekolah Alam Shah, KL.
Okay.
So I hardly spent time with my parents at the time because, it's a boarding school.
Right.
I got to stay in the school, and I only come back on holidays.
Your parents were smart, man. They got rid of you way earlier.
No, I got rid of them.
That's a nice way to look at it.
Boarding school was fun,
Man, I got my kids, chucked away in Bahamas, man.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Well, what did you study after you left school?
Okay. I went to study computer science in University of North Texas, somewhere near Dallas. That was in 1981 at the time. That's the time when hordes of Malaysians went overseas to study.
Right.
So I'm one of them. So I studied computer science, but along the way I took business minors, business courses, and I fell in love with marketing. So on my third year, I switched from major in computer science to minor in business to major in business, minor in computer science.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was that a good decision, looking back?
It was a good decision. It was a great decision because after that, upon graduation, I got internship job to work with the 5th largest market research company in the US.
Okay.
Yeah. So while most of the students at the time came back and had demeaning salaries because of the economic recession at the time, I was having a good time. I was driving a Fiat 1.3 Beton Spider. Then.
Okay.
And I was earning about 1,500 USD a month. So it was a good life. But after 2 years, I decided to come back because I said, if I stay here in the US forever, I'll be a minority and I cannot make a difference. So I decided to come back because I want to make a difference. I want to pay back the government because giving me scholarship to study abroad.
So, if I were to use that logic, then I should go back to India also. Because I'll be forever be a minority in this country, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
But don't you subscribe to the idea of being a migrant tends to make you work harder, strive better, the concept of migrant mindset?
Well, it did cross my mind to stay in the US, but they said in Malay, hujan emas di negeri orang, hujan lembing di negeri sendiri, baik lagi negeri sendiri. That means even it's raining gold in other people's place and it's raining spears in your country, it's better your country.
I'm not quite sure. I
Well,
agree with
okay. The Malay psyche needs to change a little bit, man. I mean, I totally believe in risk taking, but that's like fucking out of your mind, man. But I understand.
It's golden spears,
Oh, golden spear. But spear still. It's like golden handcuff still, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you came back and you eventually started your career with who do you started with?
I started with a company called Machiniaga.
Ah,
You will notice the building in Subang Jaya,
yes.
that nice looking building.
It was the architect was Ken, right?
I don't quite remember.
Ken.
Yeah. So I work with Machiniaga, and I started as a salesman. And I actually love being a salesman because to me that is really helping people, really helping people, identifying and satisfying people's problem at a profit. So there's a profit at the end of it,
Right.
at the end of the game. So it was fun, and I remember my first account. My first account was a problem account. I inherited the account from another person, an industrial specialist, who resigned. So I'm supposed to sell this manufacturing software,
Okay.
but because the industrial specialist was not there, it's not working. The installation was not working. So the customer said what? Customer said, I feel like spitting by a whole bag. The customer said that. And that was my first account.
Wow.
Yeah. So I came back to the office, feel very depressed and down. And the managing director came to me, Dr. Ismail Sulaiman came. He said, I know the time is tough for you, but hang on there. Things will be okay. So true enough, I carry on. And in the first year, I hit 140% of my target.
Was the targets too low to start with?
No, for a rookie.
I know. I know you, man. Look, sorry to cut you, but let me tell you, when I said that you a sales business development extraordinaire, I mean it. Because in 1997, or was it 1996,
1996, when I first met you.
when you first clinched the biggest deal?
Oh, it was 1997.
1997.
Yeah.
It's a 1.4 million
1.4 million, yes.
a single client.
Single client.
And that was not a flash in the pan situation. It was something that you repeated over time,
Right.
in different ways. Yeah. So
Did you get that deal before or after news of the Asian financial crisis?
That was before.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. Now, you all are jotting down my memory. A lot of my memory has been repressed. So
let it loose, brother.
let it loose. Okay, so it was before the Asian financial meltdown. We had a contract to train 2,000 people from a company. Can I mention the name?
I think you can.
Okay, the company is Sapura Group of Companies. And we went to train in Genting Highland. That resort up in the hill in Pahang. And we were training 3 sessions per week,
Yeah.
back to back. And I had to do the opening in the evening of Monday, and in the evening of Tuesday, and the evening of Wednesday. And I had to do closing, because it's a 3-day program, closing for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
I remember that. You know why? Because
Yeah.
I had a permanent room in Genting Island for 9 freaking months, man. I can tell you which floor is haunted, which is not, which room is okay, which room is not. All right. So, and it was like clockwork. It was like a conveyor belt from one class to the other class. It's amazing. It's like poetry in motion. There's a lot of chaos, but we seem to deliver it amazingly well.
Right.
But it was like after a while, after the 20th session,
Yeah.
every time I speak, I feel like I've done this.
Yeah. Groundhog Day.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What we did, 100 batches?
Close to
100.
180 sessions.
180 sessions.
Yeah. It's supposed to be 200 something, but because towards the tail end, we got hit by the recession.
Right.
So the program was shifted or stalled or cancelled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was crazy time.
Yeah.
But that's where we got our grind.
Yeah.
That's where we actually hone our skills dealing with so many people on a daily basis, mate. And every 24 hours, every 12 hours, I have a new set of 40 people.
Well, I guess all that was necessary because 1997 was also the year where you first formed your own company.
Yeah. Eventually,
yeah.
yeah. So 97, I went out on my own, and then eventually string with you for a while, and then eventually I set up the company in 1999. Officially. But yeah, crazy times.
Good,
Yeah.
good. You know one thing, Hash, right? Hash.
Yes, that's right.
This guy is one of the hardest working guy I ever known. I mean, not only he works hard, he is full of creativity. And I remember Paul, when he started his own business, Celcom had this 600 number service, And I don't know head or tail about this 600 number, right? But this guy came up with one excellent product after the other and do his own programming, and yet he's not a programmer,
Yeah.
and I think I said to myself at that time, I said, if he know his true worth at that time, he will go far. I said to myself at that time, because there are certain situation that I feel that could be done better at
Yeah.
that time when you were doing that in a partnership with another person.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
Oh, this really pisses me off, lah.
Yeah.
I think like you're the best person to ask this because right now, knowing Pal, every time he's in the classroom, the participants always look up to him. People in HR all know him, because he's had about 20 years of experience.
Right.
Now here you are telling me when he first started, he was also the same way. Have you never had a period in your life where you were horrible at training or something?
Yes, there was. Oh my goodness. Samsung.
Uh-huh.
Remember, there was a program
Yeah.
that you secured on 7 quality tools.
Right.
And I happened to have my master's in that field.
Yeah.
And you said, Paul, can you do it? And I took the brief. I said, yeah, it's a basic 7 QC tools. I can do this. I can teach this. I prepared all my materials and I went to Samsung on that particular day. Now, 5 minutes before I started the program, one of the participants came to me and said, can I speak to you? I said, why? What's going on? He said, is this what you're going to share today? He showed me the material. I said, yes, this is what I'm going to share. He said, but this is super basic. All 40 of us are already at advanced stage and we got personally trained in Korea. This is something that is...
Oh my goodness.
So can you imagine, I'm walking in the workshop. All the participants were like 3 times better than me. And they toyed with me, man.
They have that black belt thing.
Oh yeah,
right?
they toyed with me. They asked me questions that I could not answer. And they were giggling at one another. At the end of that first day, I came back to the car and I called my partner then. I said, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do this. Can I pay them back? Can I pay for all the time that they had to spend today?
Yeah.
Because I have to go back again tomorrow. It's like you're going in on a fist fight,
Yeah.
being badly bruised and hit in round 1, and you know you're going to get clobbered in the second round again. I had to do it, man. That was a very important experience for me, to know specifically exactly what the client wants.
How did you go back the second day?
Man, I have to go back, man. I did not sleep the whole night.
Did you study?
I studied. I
Yeah.
prepared. I said, what are the possible questions they're going to ask? Can you imagine? At that time, we did not have internet, man. It was Radasky. Remember that Bible
Yes.
on quality management that all of us had?
The big blue book.
The big blue book. It's what? Cost us about what?
300 ringgit.
300 ringgit at that
Yeah.
particular time?
Yeah.
It was like, 600 pages or something. It was amazing. Went through the book, man, page by page, trying to figure out all the possible scenarios. But yeah. But you know what? The 600 number? That was quite a... If I were to look back at the time that I was most creative, it was then. I created... let me tell you. I created the first PSTN telephone line game called Talian Goal. It was me at the workplace, looking at the phone, and I thought maybe I can do a game. I draw a goalpost around the keypad, advertised in the paper. It's a game of taking penalty shots.
Right.
People call in, you call in some 600 number, and you are charged 1 minute, 195 per minute. And so when I started my business at Learning Edge, the first 2 years, 3 years was very, very tough, very, very rough. So the one that kept me going was this Talent Goal. You know what was the Talent Goal's income that it brings every month?
No.
Average between 85 to 125,000 a month, a single product, mate. That, of course, is a revenue split. So that money that came in helped me sustain myself during the very, very difficult time. But yeah, Talent Goal, man, that's
Yeah, I remember that.
yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
No, I think we've went like a little bit too far. We never got onto how you made your transition into training. How did you get into there? What was your inspiration?
Right.
Right. Well, when I was in Machiniaga is actually an agent of IBM.
Right. Okay.
So we got our training from IBM. So one of the things that caught my attention was I enjoyed training. I enjoyed training people at that time. So when I attend training in IBM and I come back, I volunteered to train Machiniaga staff,
Okay.
right? So the management liked it very much. So they got one guy with 2 job specs, you know?
Was it because you were doing it for free?
Probably because of that, and
Yeah.
also because of my enthusiasm to share.
Right.
So I did sales training, and then after that, they sent me to IBM printer training in Singapore. I'm a salesman. There are other system engineers who can do that, but they send a salesman to do it. You know, and then towards the middle of my career in Machiniaga, IBM went through what they call this market-driven transformation. Market-driven transformation is another label of total quality management. So I learned about market-driven transformation. I watched Tom Peters' video, and I was inspired by Tom Peters.
Oh,
He's a powerful speaker, you know.
That was my go-to man.
Yeah. So, and then after I left Machiniaga, after a while I left Machiniaga, I went to another company called Fujitsu System Business. I attended a training. And that training was conducted by Dr. Ismail Noor of Noor Consult.
If you remember the name and company, it must have been a very good training or very bad. Which one is it?
The thing that get me hooked on Dr. Ismail is that he is very eloquent speaker.
Okay.
Very eloquent speaker and very open-minded for a person of his age at that time. So if I am past mentor, Dr. Ismail is my mentor.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So I said to Dr. Ismail, I said, I want to do something like this. I want to do something like this. I said, yes, I got a contract coming on total quality management. So you can join me there. So that was with Malaysian International Shipping Corporation. So at the right time, I resigned. I resigned from my job. At the time, I was an account manager in Fujitsu System Business.
How old were you then?
I was 27.
27. Okay.
Yeah.
And I joined his team when I was 28. I was the youngest consultant at that time. The rest are all over 40. And I trained managers and not trained. I was consulting managers and senior executives on how to do total quality management. Again, Haradisky comes to the rescue.
Yeah, man. That's the Bible. Go look for that book, man. Anybody listening, go back to Radesky. It's a great book to have.
Okay, here's something that I can totally understand because I myself joined PAL when I was 23. Okay, so I totally know what you mean when you are a young person and you walk into a classroom and you have to train people who are much more senior than you,
Right.
who have so much more experience.
Right.
How do you deal with that mindset? Because personally, what I do is I tell myself, as long as I know my content,
Right.
then nothing can go wrong.
Right.
The rest is all my own insecurities and my own fears. Let's not worry about that. Let's just learn the content. How
Right.
about you? Are you similar?
Okay, I have these two belief systems that I hold on for very long time. The first one is what I can imagine, I can do. That's the first belief system. So no matter how difficult it is, if I can imagine it, I can do it.
Right.
No matter how hard it is, you know. And then the second belief system is whatever I imagine is already real to me. So no matter how like this situation right now, this is the first time I'm a podcast virgin, you know. But because I can imagine it, I can do it. You know, initially there was jitters. You know, of course, anytime you are new to certain things, there are jitters. But once you go through the motion, go through the process of actualizing it, then you can always do it. You know, a lot of times when young people like you, for example, started on a new venture, it's not because you don't have the capability. It's the ability to think through and visualize
Right.
that actually counts in the end at the end of the day. Yeah.
I love the way he put this to all the virgins out there. As long as you think about it enough, you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. This discussion can go way out. Okay, cool. So you started with Consult, and then you started SJA,
Right.
and then eventually you set up your crew coming together,
Right.
and the Sapura thing happened.
Yeah.
And then Sharudin Jamal disappeared from the face of earth for a bit.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what I think, if you're comfortable enough, I want to talk a bit about that.
Okay.
And I think it's an important topic to talk about, because I think, before we had this talk show, right, we had a conversation. And so just to let everybody know, Sharudin went through some mental challenges, and he's going to talk a bit about that. And I suggested to Sharudin probably he should come out again and do work to help the public to address some of the issues about mental health.
Right.
And the title that I gave him was, I said, you should come up with a program entitled Inside the Mind of a Bipolar Man. So
Okay.
probably can talk a bit about that.
Yes. Actually, at the height of my success, I encountered a very peculiar illness. The illness is called Bipolar Affective Disorder. Sorry. It's peculiar because you don't see these symptoms in the microscope, because it's a mental illness. And I did not know I had the illness until it was too late.
Someone had to tell you.
No, they had to
They had to discover him.
they have to handcuff me.
Man,
my
I
God.
don't
Yeah.
want you to spare any details on this, mate, because I think
okay.
if people need to understand
Right.
that the universe
Right.
will show you signs, and
Yeah.
if you don't pick that,
Yeah.
the sledgehammer will come.
Right.
In your case, the sledgehammer did come
Right.
in a very, very uncomfortable way, really.
Yes.
So yeah.
Okay, you want to hear the long version or the short?
Give us the long version, man.
The long
We've got all
Yes,
day.
explain
Okay.
the handcuff story because I'm really interested.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he virgin handcuff. You can see the
Yeah. Okay. Well, it started in 1998. 1998 when we get that $1 million contract. At that time, I recall a saying by Prophet Solomon. He said, the wealth that he had was to test him whether he is grateful or become defiant. Okay?
right.
So I decided to become grateful. Okay? I decided to become grateful. And I read further. I read that Caliph Umar, the second Caliph of Islam, infaq means spend on the path of God, 50% of his wealth, while Abu Bakr, the first caliph, spent 100%.
Okay.
So I decided to infaq 50% of my wealth for fi sabilillah, for God only, for pleasing God. Now,
How do you do it, man? Tell me, how did you spend that 50?
okay, well, basically, I help single mothers, I help the poor, the needy, the newly convert. I sponsored orphans in university. I pay for medical bills of the ill. I distributed religious books to the masses. I also distribute this food supplement, which is a sunnah, which is the practice of the Prophet, known as habatu sauda, to the masses.
Right.
And yeah, gosh, there's a lot. I'm trying to recall. Okay, I also did donate. I did donate computers to the mosque. So all these things, there's half of my wealth is a lot. So I did that. I did that. And along the way, I read about the works of Jalaluddin Rumi, Muhyiddin Al-Arabi. These are the famous Sufis, So I decided to become a wandering Sufi. Okay. So I told my partner at that time, I said, I want a 2-year sabbatical so that I can study Islam and so that I can go out and do all this charity work and God's work for 2 years, I said. Okay. So during that time, I studied the Quran. In the morning, I went and attend tafsir. Tafsir is the translation of the Quran from Professor Dr. Abdul Hai of University Malaya. And then in the afternoon, I read the Quran, known as Tajweed, the phonics of the Quran, from Imam Ramli, the local imam at my mosque. And then I attended lectures from Institute of Islamic Thought and Civilization, ISTAC, whenever time permits. So I was really into it, I was really into it. Then what happened was, in 1999, this is a long story. Can you?
Yes, please.
Okay, 1999, that was when I was most pious. I fasted the whole month of Ramadan. I fasted on Mondays and Thursdays that year. I did my what they call this Tarawih prayer, the prayer of Ramadan. I did my Tahajjud prayer, which is the night prayer. You wake up in the middle of the night to pray. And then I did my Taubah prayer, the repent prayer, where you're supposed to do it once in a lifetime, at least.
Is it a long ritual, the Tauba prayers?
Long, very long.
Okay.
So I followed an imam. Instead of doing it on my own, I followed an imam. That's the last day of Ramadan. So during that time, what I did was, I don't know, now I look at it, it sounds crazy or funny to some people, but I said, dear God, make me the greatest, most loyal soldier.
Wow.
I said that because I said I want to be in the forefront of this effort, because I was so into it. I was so into the wandering Sufi stuff, the charity stuff, and all that. You know what happened? What happened after that? I encountered a very strange situation. I encountered. Can I say it?
Yes.
Okay. Can I say? Okay. I encountered dealing with Iblis. You know Iblis?
Right.
Iblis is not Satan. Satan is the head honcho. Right? Iblis is the minion. Yeah?
Ah.
Okay, so I had to deal with Iblis. And he was trying to take over my mind. So I became angry. I became angry. And I look at things that are un-Islamic. I became angry also. So what happened was, I went up to Genting Highland and warned those people that gambling is not permissible.
Right.
You know, so I went up in my super bike, my 900cc fire blade at that time, and I was throwing a rampage.
In
And-
the casino.
Not in the case,
Before
outside.
they could go in. You stopped them. This
Yeah.
is haram.
Yeah.
Right.
But you went up there
Yeah.
together with a kukri, didn't you?
No.
No?
No, that was an exaggeration.
Oh, really?
But I got some blades with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the mindset was the greatest, most loyal soldier, you know. So I have to tell people that this is not permissible.
So run this.
Okay.
You did you ride in your juba?
No,
No, you did not.
No.
Because you were also known as the juba fire blade rider at that particular time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we saw the changes at that particular time. I was riding a bike, you were riding a bike, you know. So you went up to Genting, you parked your bike, and you started shouting out loud. Was that what you did?
Yeah.
At just outside the casino, maybe.
No, I went to this apartment, sadly, at the lower end of the Genting Highland.
Okay.
It's not all the way to the casino. No.
You didn't make it there.
No. But it was a crazy time. It was
know.
a crazy time, you know. And then they captured me,
Yeah.
and I was sent to Bentong Hospital.
Yeah.
I was sent to Bentong. I don't know what happened to the bike. Somebody took the bike back. You know, I think one of my in-laws did that. You know, and after that they sent me to the General Hospital.
Yeah.
I didn't know what happened. You know, I didn't know what happened, and I think at that time you all also don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So in the General Hospital, they strapped me.
We were there.
You were there. You saw that, right? You saw that. So it was one of the dark moments of my life, you know. So what I'm trying to say here, of course, after that, there's a series of things that happen and
Other similar events.
yeah, because I went through 6 psychosis phase,
Okay.
and they hospitalized me during that time for the period of 15 years. I was battling Iblis until 2014. So during that time, I experienced psychosis. And until the last point, the doctor said to my wife at the time, I was not aware, but she told me, doctor said, we have to do the electric convulsion therapy on him. So that requires the signature of my wife. So we went through ECT. And basically ECT is rebooting my system. So after that, after 2014, until now, I no longer have psychosis. I no longer have these thoughts about Iblis.
Right.
Yeah. So
You never know.
so what I'm saying is, from the time I decided to infaq until the time I get ECT, that whole period of 15 years, that whole period is my thoughts on this illness. That's how insidious is this illness.
Wow.
Yeah. And I do not know that I was ill.
Right.
I was thinking that I was given
Your prayers were answered, right?
my prayers were answered. That's right. But it's all about the illness. It's all about the illness. And a lot of people who experience this mental illness do not know it, because in mental illness, fantasy and reality converge. You cannot, and I cannot be doing consulting and training anymore because my judgment was affected.
Yeah.
You know, so there goes my should I say how
Your capability to run the business.
right, the capability to run the business is based on my ability to think and make judgment.
That's right.
And here, an illness that takes away that. So can you imagine how insidious is this illness?
Yeah. What I really want to know is, what did it feel like when you were going through one of those episodes? Did you blank out? You don't remember an entire period of time, and then you wake up and you're sane again? Or does it feel like you're a spectator watching your own body do things that you do not agree with?
Okay. Basically, I was in a different dimension. I call it the alternate reality dimension. If you watch the movie Beautiful Mind by starring Russell Crowe,
Russell
right?
Crowe, yeah.
About John Nash, the Nobel laureate
Economist.
economist winner, he is actually in his world.
Right.
Yeah. So did I. I was in a different world. I was in a world where I have to raise an army of jinn and demons to fight this iblis, and I cannot tell anybody. I cannot tell anybody. I cannot tell my wife because she might get scared, and my friends, none of them understand it because when I talk to them, I talk as if I in a different dimension. I showed you the email that I wrote.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you also don't understand what the hell I'm trying to tell.
It's like an episode coming out from Lords of the Rings. Really, mate.
Yes.
The
So it must have-
characters that you came up with, and it's
Yeah.
crazy.
So it must have been a very lonely time.
It's very lonely time.
Yeah.
You know.
Can I go back to the time that you were strapped to the bed?
Mm.
Not your kind of strap, Okay. You were strapped to the bed, and I remember you looking and you say, "Pal, why are they doing this? You know me, right?" That was heartbreaking, mate. Because here's a person who I know is very capable of. It's amazing, driven. It's reduced to that. That was very difficult for me to watch. But you know what? Looking back, there were already signs to show that you were acting not in the typical normal way. But you see, your normal is very different. You are high strung. You are always on the go. You are very driven. Like when you bought a bike, you bought a super bike, right? I was a big biker as well. You hit 230, I will say maybe I can go faster. All right? I mean, I took your bike for a spin as well. We Tukamoto,
Yeah.
we had the Tukamoto thing. And we tend to push each other a lot. Remember when we
Right,
cycle?
right.
There were a few incidents you do not know of this. So we used to go cycle with another partner,
Mountain biking.
mountain biking, and we were riding somewhere at Damansara. There was a new jungle clearance, and there was also
small hill.
hill
Yeah.
that was crazy. The gradient was crazy, and we were at the top. And he said, "Pal, go." I said, "If I go, you go." He said, "Yeah, you go, I go." And what
How
I did,
romantic.
I just went. I was young and stupid, and I
Yeah.
just went and I crashed, landed, and because I did it, now he had to do it, and he did it too, and he got.
broke my helmet.
He broke his helmet because he hit his head into a concrete beam that was at the construction site. It
Yeah.
cracked the helmet. But we got up and said, "Yeah!" But that did not end it. When we were in Tasik Kenyir, remember we went for that walk
Right.
and we went to Sungai Lipes and we wandered for about 2 hours in the jungle.
Yeah.
And then we came to this water
Yeah.
that I said, "If you jump, I jump, and I
Yeah.
can't swim."
Yeah.
And he jumped into this pond, which was what 20, 30 feet.
Not knowing if there
Not,
were
not
rocks
knowing
down
if
below.
there are rocks or not. He just jumped. And next thing is, I'm not a swimmer then. I jumped because I knew this fella is going to pull me out anyway. I did that. And then we floated ourselves back to where the team is by pulling out a log, and we just held on to the log and bouncing up and down in the river. That was now the doctor asked us this: didn't you see any changes in Sharudin? We said, he one day he just wore his juba and
And turban too.
and turban, and I said, when we saw that, we thought, well, here's Sharudin with another one of his project. And she looked at it and said, "You thought that's normal?
Yeah.
Like today he's wearing normal clothes, and the next day he's in the juba
Right.
and riding superbike." And we thought,
But I didn't wear the juba with the super bike.
right? No, you have not on that particular day. Yeah. But it's amazing. Lah. So those are the little changes in you
Okay.
that we did not pick up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a fine distinction, isn't it?
Right.
Between sanity and insanity.
Right. I would say this illness is already within me. Already within me. I remember when I was 12 years old, my mom asked me to collect 1,000 ringgit from a debtor. So at that time, I went and cycle, go to this house, and ask for the money. And then when she gave me this money, 1,000 ringgit, I became so excited. And when I cycle back home, I feel that I was cycling fast forward. Everything was moving very fast. But actually, I was still riding like normal, you know. So as I recall back, I think that the illness is already in me, but it requires a trigger to happen.
Right.
So in this case, the trigger was the extreme pressure of the financial meltdown, Asian financial meltdown. I was trying to manage a business that was ailing, was not doing well. And at the same time, I was in the middle of a path. I was on a path of enlightenment. So it's a cross path that I have to take. And because of that, I think different people respond differently to stress. Some people got heart attack, some people got cancer, some people get stroke, some people got organ failure. In my case, I get a brain attack, which is very unfortunate. Because my wife said she would rather I have cancer than this illness.
Wow.
That is how bad it is.
Wow.
Because she said, if it's cancer, I know how to deal with it. This illness, I do not know. When I first got it, we went to Port Dickson to see the shaman who buried me in the sand because he said, I have been possessed by evil demons. And at that time, I did not know. And we were desperate for
But
remedy.
you do whatever it takes
Whatever
to
it
get
takes.
better, right?
I've done many things
Right.
that is uncalled for. And a lot of people were are in my position, I believe. They asked me to mandi bunga. I also mandi bunga. They asked me to recite the Quran. I also recite the Quran. These are in different occasions. Different people have different remedies for it. But at the end of the day, I believe now you need professional help.
Right.
Yeah, because yes,
Sorry, do you think some people are taking advantage of this? Like, going to a shaman. Do you think some people are taking advantage of mental illness and profiteering?
I think a lot of time, people don't understand what constitute mental illness. For example, before this, I don't understand the concept of genies, or invisible creatures, or demons, or spirits, I don't understand. I thought they were real. But when I experience mental illness and I see all these things, I say, oh, okay, this is because of this illness. No wonder you don't see these kind of creatures when you are in a group. It's always localized experience to that individual, because it's mental illness. Maybe in some situation, you will see it is seen by more than one, but that is called shared psychosis. So there's a lot of avenue when we talk about mental illness. So don't underestimate things like difficulty in sleeping, for example. I had that difficulty in sleeping, and I thought it was normal. I said, I was pretty charged up,
I don't need that much sleep.
I don't need so suddenly I cannot sleep for 3 days. And that is also a sign of mental illness. Okay?
So you said you have not had an episode since 2014.
Psychosis.
Right? Psychosis.
Yeah.
What do you do today to ensure that you have good mental health?
Okay. I believe one is medication. In my case, it's a lifetime medication. Even though I'm normal now, even though I act very normal, but I cannot do away with medication. I want to do away with medication because the medication I'm taking is what
Daily?
no, it's a monthly time release jab.
Right. Okay.
Okay, this medication is what they call dopamine antagonist. Okay, before I get into that part, let me explain why people have bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is caused by dopamine surge. Your brain produces certain transmitters, right? Neurotransmitters, and one of the neurotransmitter is dopamine. If too little dopamine, you become depressed.
Okay.
Too much dopamine, you become mania. Okay, more than mania, you become psychosis. Okay,
Right.
so the amount of dopamine is very important. So when I started seeking medical help, it's not as easy as popping a few pills. The doctors has to deal with different brain chemistry. Different people have different brain chemical composition. So they experiment with different type of medication. So this one medication, haloperidol, make me, at first when I tried that, it makes me move like a robot. My neck becomes stiff, Then try another medication. It's like swallowing cotton balls when I sleep. Then another medication, cannot work that one. Try another medication. Or that one make me become like a castrated cat. No, not motivated at all to do anything. Just lay around and do nothing. So finally, the doctor said, okay, we'll give you the most expensive medication and the most recent available. So that's how it comes about. 500 ringgit per jab medication, time release. Yeah.
And that's the one that finally works for you.
Finally works, but because it's a dopamine antagonist,
Okay.
I need to offset the medication with certain surge of dopamine.
Right.
So instead of last time, when I take that medication, I smoke cigarette because cigarette induce dopamine by 200%. Okay, but now I don't smoke anymore. I still chew nicotine gum just to balance it up. If not, I have difficulty because it's a dopamine antagonist. Even if I want to run, I cannot run beyond 30 minutes because the juice runs out. The
Right.
juice runs out, and because no dopamine, no motivation. So every time I run, I have to hit the wall, just like people running marathon, right? They hit the wall at kilometer 36, where my wall now is 30 minutes of running.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the challenge. So all medication have side effects. So it's how you deal with the side effects. But I can say this, I did ask the doctor to take out the medication because I said I want to do it the natural way. The doctor said, it's your decision if you want to do it, but I won't recommend it. I won't support it.
So you haven't tried it as of now.
No.
Okay.
No. So now I'm living with the medication. Yeah. So my message here is, if you have early symptoms of odd behavior or weird instances in your life, go for medical help because early treatment is very important. Don't become like me until I throw rampage in Genting Highland and they handcuff me.
Right.
It's not a very pretty picture.
Can you elaborate a little bit about the effect of this illness to the family and to the surroundings,
Yeah.
and how was that? How did they cope?
Well, I'm very fortunate to have a very loving family. If I don't have that kind of family, I'll be out in the streets right now. I'll be like one of those, people with
Orang gila.
orang gila lah,
Orang
orang
gila.
gila. Basically
Ah,
that.
yeah.
Basically that. Because you need that. You need that family support structure to deal with this, because you basically don't know what to do.
Right.
You know, if nobody takes care of you during this time, then chances are you will go on an off tangent mode. Yeah, you go on off tangent mode. I probably be living in this alternate reality dimension indefinitely.
And there's no one there to bring you back.
Nobody to bring me back. That's true. Yeah. So whatever the situation is, how bad it is, get professional help, because whatever problems, mental health problem that you have, there's already a remedy to it. Don't go to this shamans lah, all these charlatans, and minum, drink this
Some kind of
eye
magical
jumpy,
juice. Eye jumpy.
it doesn't work.
How do we get that message out to people?
It's difficult because we have to deal with belief system. In our case, in our society, we have a belief system that when somebody is acting like this, the common term they use is, dia ni dah kena buat.
Oh yeah, that's a favorite thing.
Yeah,
Man.
dah kena buat. So, to solve this dah kena buat, I don't know the English term for that.
He has been done for.
He's been done for. Okay, he's been done for. It's not a medical problem. It's a shaman's problem. So we have to go to the shamans.
Right.
And that's where the shamans makes the money. Because in my case, when I first go to this first shaman, he asked me, okay, what have you done differently? I said, then my in-law said, he likes to go to the jungle. And then straight away the shaman said, he must have stepped on an orang asli cemetery. Wow. That's why we need to resolve this by taking him to put this and bury him in the sand.
Right.
Coming back to your point,
Right.
some people take advantage of this, right? Well, I don't know whether they know it or purposely do it, but there's a niche in the society for this kind of people.
And they're milking it.
And they're milking. It's not
Yeah.
it's not cheap, For my treatment, I need to release 8 ekor ayam hutan. Wow. And what is 8 ekor ayam hutan? Jungle fowl. Okay. What is 8 ekor ayam hutan? RM80
Per foul or?
per treatment.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So they say it in that manner.
In that currency. Their currency is foul. Okay.
They didn't say you got to pay me RM80. You got to release 8 jungle fowl.
Okay.
Okay.
And I like how they still call it treatment. They make it official.
Yeah. So they need to slaughter 8 jungle fowl. I don't know whether they do it or not. I don't think so lah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's their side business.
First and foremost, to find jungle fowl is
Exactly.
one challenge. Yeah.
It's interesting that you bring up this concept of shaman, which is kena buat.
Yeah.
This is very based on society actually,
Right.
because in the Punjabi community, we have disadvantage in the sense that we got no stories like this to share. We got no stories of my uncle kena buat. If you look at any Malay family, they'll either have someone in the family kena buat, or they know of uncle who kena buat, or they have a auntie who kena buat that needed treatment. In Punjabis, we do not have that. Therefore, there is no Punjabi shaman. So it's because of our belief system. We totally believe there is this, these creatures that we can't see. We believe that. But we always believe that we are superior than them, so they don't bother you. So therefore, I got no problem walking in the jungle. My kids wanted to know about cemetery. So I took them to the one in Ampang beside ISKL one day. And I just took them there at 12 o'clock midnight. They stood there, the security guard came out and said, "Kenapa datang sini?" I said, "Anak saya nak tengok lah." Encik tak takut ke? I said, "Takut apa? I'm more afraid of people who are alive than people who are dead. Dead people are dead. They're not going to bother you, man.
Right.
The one that's on the street,
Right.
the one drunk driving, they are more dangerous than the people who are dead. So really, so it's a belief system.
Belief system. It's
Um,
it all
yeah.
it all goes. You see, like this thing called, as I mentioned to you, I was approached by Iblis, right?
right.
Well, I think now, looking back, right? I think this incident will not happen should I not pray to become the greatest, most loyal soldier.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
You ask for it.
So it's a personal scripting that happened along the way, you know. So like John Nash, he experienced aliens because that was his scripting, you know. But in my case, because it's a religious incline, then my script is Iblis, you know.
Right.
But imagine 15 years I have to live with that script on my own. Nobody knows. I cannot tell people because people say I'm crazy. You know?
And you were not working throughout those 15 years at all?
I worked.
You worked?
I work, but I have to. It's a trail of tears. I call it. You know, dealing with work, dealing with the illness is. I cannot tell people. I cannot tell my employer at the time that I have an illness. You know, if I have a heart attack, you know, at least I can say, I had a bypass. You know, and that's my medical history. But people don't hire mentally ill person,
Yeah.
you know. And mentally ill, bipolar disorder, for those who don't know, according to SOCSO, is an OKU disability.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an OKU disability. Meaning that if you have bipolar disorder and you contribute to SOCSO, when you are disabled, you can claim. That's how serious it is. It's a handicap,
Right.
you know. But still, because this thing is not very prevalent in the society, people don't take it that well. So I have to hide it, you know. I have to hide it from the emperor. But along the way, I cannot control it, because in one situation, I relapsed. When I was working with one company, I relapsed. And I have to resign. Even though the boss does not ask me to resign. I said, I want to resign because I said I need time to recover. You know? And just like that, imagine, along the way, 6 times I was in psychosis, right? So along the way, I was working here and then doesn't work out. I left. And then I work in another company, doesn't work out. So, luckily, I have a wife that understands,
Right.
and my wife was supporting me all the way. You know, the financial pressure was really big. You know, as you know, when I was in Sharudin Jamal and Associates, you know, I have multiple cars and multiple bikes, you know.
Right.
So we went through that process of eliminating, you know, getting rid of what we don't want, you know, sell off the cars, sell off the bikes,
Right.
went to cash and carry and sell off things that I don't use anymore, you know.
Right.
We went through that. And in 2 years, from a very scary financial situation, we managed to climb up to a very comfortable situation financially.
It's a collective effort. Everybody agreed to do it.
Yes, it's a collective effort.
Right. Okay.
So looking at what we're experiencing now with this COVID-19 pandemic and 1999 Asian financial meltdown, I would say I am now COVID ready compared to when I was in 1999. 1999, I was caught with my pants down. Now, although I'm not financially well off, but I am better off than most people out there who are not ready to
Right.
face these financial challenges.
I want to go into that part a little bit in a
Okay.
short while
Okay.
about you shared with me a little bit about your financial management principles that you hold on to, which is actually extremely extreme.
Okay.
Uh, with this experience that you have had about mental illness, how do you intend to use this experience to help society as a whole? Is there a plan to do that? Because I know you are retired. You do consulting, but based on free consulting,
bono.
pro bono work
Yeah,
that you do,
yeah.
right? I know that. But is there a plan for you to go out there?
Well, if you ask me a month ago, if you ask me a month ago, I would say I'm happy retiring, at the age of 56.
Right.
You know, what I do most of the time in my day is I read, I run or I walk a little bit, and I write. And I write a lot. I write extensively. I am now a better writer than an orator. You know. Yeah. However, since I met you, and I understand a bit about your business, about what you do. You're not just doing the team building and leadership and all that. You also do wellness and all that. And I figure out, hey, maybe there is a synergy to it. And you mentioned last week, you said the universe has spoken. after, after I told him that I read The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, and 2 days after we connected, after so long, after 18 years,
Yeah.
we connected again. And you said the universe has spoken. And it really struck me, because the sequence of events that happen along the way is somewhat guiding me towards a certain direction. And I believe I can be that proponent of mental illness awareness. I can do that. But I need a vehicle. On my own, I cannot do. Because on my own, I am a one-man show. Yeah.
So I'm consciously focused on not taking you out of your orbit, right? Because I think you have a great thing going for yourself. You are one of the happiest guy that I know of now, really,
Okay.
in your own world. But I'm thinking, man, there's 25, 30 years of amazing experience in this mind that I think should be shared with more people. And that's when we start talking about you helping organizations and the employees in the organization
Right.
on managing stress, which is a major problem right now.
Right.
As we speak, we are working with about 2 or 3 other organizations who have requested us programs on stress and mental wellness.
Yeah.
And I think it's time for you to really help out in this area. And it cannot be any better coming from a man who's gone through so much. You probably have more empathy on the participant that you talk to than someone who reads about stress management and come up with some kind of psychometric test or some kind of wellness or stress test.
Yeah.
You can connect with people. And I think the number of shamans in this country that's growing right from Kelapa to Teropong,
Yeah.
and they become that big. It shows there is a demand for it. There's a demand for this.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, if you look at illness in general is due to stress. Because if you look at the term disease, is dis-ease,
Yeah.
right? So it's dis-ease. So what I experienced was a dis-ease of my mind at that time, And there's a lot of other people who experience this, but they do not know how to deal with it. Now that I have opened up and it's not easy to open up. People will say first thing when you ask, what do you know about mental illness? What's your reaction, ba?
Mental illness,
Uh,
you bunch of weak humans.
okay,
Suck it up lah. Embrace the suck. Go for it.
Right.
Everybody's got problem. You're not worse off than those people in Auschwitz, right? So
Hash, what is your reaction?
What if people ask me what do I think mental illness is?
Be honest.
Be honest, the first word that comes to my mind is crazy.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I know that's politically incorrect and
Right.
wrong, right? So that's
Yeah.
why we need to be educated more on this subject.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. When I first admitted to the hospital, I went to another doctor, a private practitioner, and first thing I asked the doctor, have I gone crazy? And the doctor said, no, it's not. No, you are not crazy. It's the chemical imbalance. He said, chemical imbalance in your, and we can work that out, But that's the stigma, or that's the inclination of people to have when we talk about mental illness.
okay, now is there an attempt to simplify all mental illness to chemical imbalance?
Well, there's two types of mental illness in general.
Right.
One is due to chemical imbalance.
Okay.
The other is because of the way how your brain is wired. Okay, that one is quite difficult. Okay, but in general, the one that the brain is wired is upon birth. Okay, that is difficult for you to correct. Okay, but the one I'm talking about here is the one that is due to stress, that is due to lifestyle, that is due to diet. Do you know that diet is a factor here? If you eat too much sugar, your dopamine goes up, and eventually you will experience something like mood swings. So it's also a form of mental illness. So that is something that we can do, and that is the bulk of the challenges that we face, not the one with the
Inborn.
That is done by other people like mental health association,
Right.
or the various organization NGO that is helping out in that area.
So what percentage of people get the
Mental illness,
Right.
right? Well,
I mean, statistics says what, 1 out of 4?
used to be 1 out of 5, but now it's becoming 1 out of 4.
Okay, so the 1 out of 4,
Right.
how many percent falls under born like this, or chemical imbalance due to lifestyle?
Okay.
related
The
matters?
1 out of 4, the one that as I am aware, is talking about the one that is lifestyle induced.
I see.
Because the one that is born, they don't take that statistic. But the one is lifestyle induced. This is one that got admitted to the hospital because of certain cases and all that. These are the one that they put in the statistic.
So here is the thing. You said your trigger, right? Your trigger was, what was that?
Stress.
Stress.
Yeah.
Right, stress. So yours, everybody gets the stress, but not everybody react the same way that you
Right.
did, right?
Right. Yeah.
So was it because like you were wired that way when you were born, but the stress was the one that triggered it? That means everyone probably
Yeah.
is carrying that.
Yeah. Well, if you notice, whatever illness that we face today is already coded in our genes.
Just like cancer.
Cancer is coded.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a matter of time before it surfaces. Same thing with mental illness. It's genetically coded. But if you have the proper lifestyle, the proper diet, you don't get involved in substance abuse, for example, then the chances are you will not encounter that trigger. But it's like a chemical time bomb, If you put one and one together, then there's an explosion. That's what happened.
Substance abuse.
Substance abuse.
Will cigarette be substance abuse?
I would say the most dangerous substance today is cigarette. Not ganja, for example.
Right.
Because today,
To all you ganja smokers out there.
no, this is based on research. There's a book written
Right.
by Dr. Hollander about pot, and there's medical values to it.
Sure.
Okay, as far as cigarette is concerned, there are also medical values, but the medical values was underweight by the risk of cigarette, because cigarette smoking is supposed to also help with Alzheimer. Okay, but you don't take cigarette while smoking. But if you take nicotine like a gum, then it will help improve your brain function. You know, the danger here is smoking smoking, not the nicotine. Nicotine per se is not that bad. Okay,
The other hazardous chemical that's
right.
related to cigarette.
Right.
Okay. Cool.
And this is a great eye opener, because you rarely hear people say that smoking contributes to mental illnesses or a bad diet contributes to mental illnesses. It's always a physical illness that is brought up, not a mental illness.
But if you notice, why I say that is because we at the very basic level is governed by neurotransmitters.
Yep.
Okay, so if your neurotransmitter is not right, it's not correct, then chances are the body will be affected as well. Because the Greeks have this belief, they say, mens sana in corpore sano, sound mind in a sound body.
Yeah.
Or the Arabs say, al-aqli salam min al-jismi salam. Same thing, sound mind in a sound body. So what constitutes the sound mind is the neurochemical, because the brain is governed by the neurochemicals, And this is something that we have to look carefully, because the bulk of the neurotransmitter effect is caused by the food that we eat. And whatever we put in, including
Right.
smokes and substance. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so now going back to the money portion, right? So people are going through a really tough time now. Many people are losing their jobs in the millions,
Yeah.
right? So what advice do you have for these people who are not prepared when it comes to money management?
Okay. Okay, first and foremost, let me qualify myself. I'm not a money expert. I'm not a money expert. However, I am a person who practice a certain
Set of
principles
Yep.
that is working. That's what I'm doing now. I'm sharing what works for me.
Right.
Okay. So in this situation, first and foremost, you got to be mindful. Okay. When we talk about having money at this point of time, having money is the most important thing in our situation right now, because with no money is instant death. People who lay off, no savings, instant death. The second thing that you need to have is food. If you don't have food, it's slow death. So forget about all the fancy stuff at this point of time. Forget about having all these gadgets, these
Luxuries.
luxury, nice to have things. Now we are talking about, at this point of time, if you are in a situation where you need to protect your family financially, then have money and have food. That's what I did. From the time of MCO until now, I don't spend on anything that is unessential. Everything is essential, because we do not know how long this pandemic will last. If this is supposed to be the greater depression than the Great Depression, then if we look at the record of Great Depression, it lasted for 10 years. So if this is the Greater Depression, then the effect is going to be longer than 10 years.
And people should stop shopping online, stop buying handbags they don't need, and clothes
Right.
they don't need.
Right. I believe so. I believe
Yeah.
so. Because you need to sustain. You need to sustain. This is a long run, I believe.
Yeah.
Not as you said. This is ultra, not a sprint.
Not a sprint,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So for us as an organization, our COVID happened about 3 years ago
Okay.
because of business changes.
Right.
So we went extremely lean manpower. You know, we decided to have we're about 12 people now. We are able to sustain the entire organization. So it's been good because our COVID was 3 years ago, which I think we all need to have our own COVID-19 in the back of our mind every 5 years.
Right.
We should be taking stock, recalibrate, and then execute. Not
Right.
just keep on growing with the graph. You know, you're earning extra, your spending goes extra.
Yeah.
I'm completing my book, and in my book I talk about the three habits of money management, which is one is being spendthrift, and then being lavish. I mean, being lavish, spendthrift, or you can be a frugal, or you can be a miser.
Right.
So we want people to be frugal, not
Frugal.
necessarily miser.
Right.
You know, you need to pay for what you think is of quality
Quality.
and not hold back. You know,
Yeah.
being because some people go to the extreme of lining up for 8 hours because the discount there is 50 cents. That's being a miser, really.
Right.
And I think people need to start thinking about that.
And also, I'm all for this, and I believe this in sincerity. That is, do not borrow unnecessarily. Do not borrow because when you borrow, you are trading your future for what you want to have now.
Right.
So, if you can avoid it, use cash. If you can avoid it, use cash, and save. No matter how little save. If you save 100 a month, that is very minimal. 100 a month, even a laborer or a low income earner can do 100 a month. Because that's very little. In 5 years, that's 6,000, and that 6,000 in 20 years becomes 12,000. You know.
Yeah. One of the concepts that I always think, and I when I train in classroom, one of the things that I have them to think about is think about savings this way. If you save 100 ringgit a month now, that is going to be your salary in the future once you retire.
Exactly.
So if you think 100 is enough per month now, do you think it's going to be enough in the future? And that usually puts people in a very dim mood about savings because they think that they're not doing enough. But I always
Yeah.
tell them you should start somewhere,
Right.
you know, instead of nothing at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a very simple formula lah. I'm not Warren Buffett or whatever, or this like Azizi Ali, the prominent financial advisor of Malaysia. I have a very simple formula. It works. What I'm trying to say here, it works. What you do, you calculate your expenses. Your expenses in a year.
Okay.
Whatever expenses it is. Okay, in a year. But don't go and splurge lah. This is basic minimum for you to survive expenses, including money you want to set aside for saving. That I bundle under the expenses.
Do you have a portion that is also for emergencies that you account for?
That's
Okay.
account. Whatever money out lah, basically.
Right.
Basically in a year, not including housing loan or car loan, you know, these big ticket items, but expenses for you to enough to get by. Then you divide that by 5%.
Okay.
Divide that by 5%, then you get a total amount. That is the amount that you need to have in your investment or your reserve. This is a simple formula.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about. Tell me about your 100 ringgit a month budget, man. I mean, like, how the fuck do you do it?
Okay.
Okay. For most of you out there who do not know Sharudin, he was one of the guy that, we used to talk about, well, if only you buy a house in One Utama 30 years ago, by now you sure rich lah. That's exactly you. You bought the One Utama house, man. What? How much did you pay it for?
I bought it for 170,000.
170,000.
Yeah.
What the hell is the rate now, man? How much is it
Now
going
it's
for?
1.4 million.
1.4 million.
Yeah.
That's a great return on investment, isn't it? So you're living in a $1.4 million house,
Yeah.
and you spend 100 ringgit a month on yourself.
Even that I cannot finish. I cannot
Wait,
finish.
until today,
Yes, today, now.
That's what he spends 100 ringgit a month, mate.
does inflation not hit you?
Well, first and foremost,
Uh-huh.
I adopt to this concept of voluntary simplicity. Outwardly poor, but inwardly rich. So in that sense, I don't splurge on unnecessary things. For example, very rare you will find me drinking at Starbucks. If I want to have nice coffee, I go to McDonald's McCafe. And even that is on promotion, 2 ringgit per cup. Okay?
Right.
Which is what used to be, if not on promotion, 8 ringgit. Okay? So I'm like that. I call myself as the domestic rat. Instead of a predator or prey, I'm a scavenger. I look for little deals, parking. If I can save 1 ringgit instead of paying 2 ringgit, I pay 1 ringgit. I pay the 1 ringgit. If I can find a parking space that is a little bit further, but I can save money, I walk even if it's 15 minutes. And this is very important. I reduce my parameter to 10 kilometer radius. Okay, and now I'm reducing it further. I'm reducing it to 3 kilometer radius. Meaning that I don't travel so much outside my parameter.
I mean, you can reduce it to 500 meters. You got One Utama at the back of you, mate. You can have every damn thing you want in One Utama.
Yeah.
You don't have to travel, man. So it's easy for you. But talk to the guy who lives in Chukai, probably.
Okay.
And okay, fine. So please.
So what I'm trying to say here is there's a choice that you can have. I made that choice.
And it's a discipline as well, right?
Yeah,
You must
it's
have
a
a discipline.
discipline.
Yeah.
You have to decide what you want to do as far as financial mastery is concerned. Financial mastery is like any other mastery. You got to put effort in making it work. So I'm not saying that my method works for you. I can reduce to 100 ringgit a month and I still balance. I still have. And last month I have a balance of 80 ringgit.
Just to be clear, this 100 ringgit does not include groceries, right?
Right? No. This
Okay.
is out of pocket expenses.
Okay.
So like washing car, or paying ticket, or paying parking ticket, or booking for my tennis. I play tennis with my daughter, so tennis court booking, barber haircut, or sometimes I want to have nice gelato ice cream. I'm not that teruk. I'm not that miser kind of person. Really. I still have good things in life, but I calculate. For example, if I want to have a nice ice cream, this gelato ice cream for 10 ringgit, I don't eat my lunch for that day. So that's a trade-off. And I would try to make sure that this 100 ringgit petty cash will not exceed, because it is petty, it's not hefty. So it's discipline. Yeah, you are right.
Okay.
So the 100 ringgit is just to be a parameter that you set in order for you to have these great habits that will then be important to touch on every other aspect of your life.
Because everything can be planned. You cannot say that spending money is out of impulse, because whatever money that goes out is expense. Whatever money that comes in is asset. So you got to be mindful of what comes in and what goes out. So for example, you can have a choice, for example, to eat nice food, but you have to go to the nasi van. I call it nasi van. You know,
Okay.
you got to eat at the van.
Okay.
You know, so I eat. You know what kind of lunch I have? I eat 2 eggs.
And,
I'm
and
sorry.
rice. That's P. Ramlee's diet.
No, no, no,
2
no.
eggs and rice.
No, I eat 2 eggs, beef,
Okay.
veggie, and tempeh. You know how much it costs?
$15.
8 ringgit. 8 ringgit. I eat healthy. I eat good food.
Okay.
You know, but it's only 8 ringgit. You know, so if I go to KL, for example, I don't take car. I don't drive car. I just take the MRT.
Right.
You know, so these are the choices you can make. Very, I would say, conscious effort you can make along the way.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, can I do it? Then I realize, hold on, there's a difference. You're retired, man.
I'm retired.
Right.
Right.
So that formula works for you,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is you can carve your own model.
Exactly.
You can carve your own model. I can choose the other way around. I can choose to be a lavish retiree.
Yeah.
You know, I can choose not to save, for example. You know, or I can choose to still drink Starbucks instead of McCafe special offer coffee.
Sure.
You know. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Ash,
So-
a couple of questions?
Yeah.
You have
So
any other questions?
we are coming close to the end of the podcast. What we want to know is, what are you currently doing with your life right now? How are you spending your time? Are you writing a book of your own?
Okay. As far as book is concerned, I have written an ebook. It took me 3 months to write an ebook.
What's it called?
Lose fat, stay fit.
Okay.
Okay, that was in 2017. So right now, I don't have any particular plan with my life, but what I do on daily basis is I write a lot, because to me, writing is like panning for gold. Okay, sometimes you get gold nuggets, sometimes you don't. So what I do is I write in the blog, and whatever good articles that I came across along my writing, I will save it in Evernote. So every month I have excerpts on my blog in the Evernote, and that I will review again, and that will become another extract.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe in the future this will become a book. But as far as I'm concerned, now I'm really enjoying writing, and I don't mind writing if there's no money involved also,
Right.
just for the fun of it.
Do you set the goals of number of words that you write?
No, I
No, you
write.
don't.
I write extensively. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
At least 8 hours a day.
Wow.
I write 8 hours a day.
I've seen some of the writings that you send me, man. It's amazing how you craft. You are a wordsmith, really.
Thank
You
you.
are.
Yeah.
And you are very quick, because I asked you for something and you wrote me a whole bunch of things, and I'm thinking, man, it will take me about a week
Yeah.
to put my thoughts together, but you just did it in bam.
Basically, the more you write, the better you write. That's all. You know, for those who aspire to become writers, start writing. Keep on writing, no matter how mundane that writing is. Because as long as you keep on writing, you are like building your muscle. It's like going for a workout, you know.
Right.
So you can always improve as you keep on writing. Even if that day you have nothing to write.
Right.
There are times that, like last night, I have nothing to write. I only write 2 lines, and that's it. That's the block for that day. 2 lines.
But at least you're not breaking out of your habit of writing daily.
Right. Yes,
Okay.
you got it right.
Right. Okay. So we still have some time. We want to do this portion. It's called rapid fire questions. Okay. Let me get my.
Rapid fire question.
Rapid
Okay.
questions,
So
man.
there's some chips in here with some numbers. So randomly grab one, and I will read the question for you
In
and
fact-
just answer them real quick.
Right. So
Okay.
I would suggest that you take out maybe 10 chips and put them all in line so that you can very quickly read them
Like
one
that.
by one. Yeah. Just put
Or
it.
just grab one and
Okay,
and
grab one.
Yeah. We will see depending on the time how many questions we get.
Okay, 144, 142.
142. Wow, you went for the third last
142.
question.
Tell me, what is the biggest mistake that you've made in your life?
My biggest mistake, I say I smoke cigarette.
Smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
Okay, next.
23.
23. If you go anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
If I go anywhere in the world, I will go to Seattle
Why Seattle?
because I want to see the parks. There's a lot of parks there.
Right. Okay.
117.
117. Has your world ever been rocked?
Yes.
That's an understatement. Okay.
135.
125.
125. What makes you smile?
When I see Pal.
Yeah, man.
Let's
got
just
that
see
effect
more
on the
often.
people.
Okay, we still have time for a couple more.
Yes. 135.
135. You're gonna like this one. Describe Malaysian politics in 3 words.
3 words.
Oh, yeah, three.
Oh my God.
Good one. Next one. 54.
54. What is the most interesting thing you have in your wallet?
My most interesting thing in my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
God, nothing interesting. Huh?
Nothing.
Nothing. All of the same thing.
There isn't a condom from 1999.
Next.
57.
57. What is your lifelong dream that you would like to achieve from here on out?
I would like to one day visit Jerusalem.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Stay there.
Okay, let's do one last one. Mm-hmm.
11.
11.
Name a book you read that positively shaped you.
I would say the book is Running and Being by Dr. Josh Sheehan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, why is that very important to you?
It's a book written by a writer who runs and a runner who writes.
Mm-hmm.
And his writing is not like the typical running book, you know. His writing is about his philosophy, about what he sees as he runs. And it shaped me because, and as I read it, I said, I want to become like that. I want to become a runner who writes and eventually a writer who runs. And that's what's happening to me now. And I read that book 30 years ago, and it's still a part of my influence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
You discover a lot of things when you run.
Yes, a lot.
Because you're alone. You're thinking. You're
Right.
pushed.
Yes.
My orthopedic surgeon who worked on my clavicle.
Ah,
Remember when I broke my clavicle?
yes, yes.
Sentosa, he quite an amazing chap. He did that 2 marathons back to back in the desert.
Mm,
And he said, when you run in the desert
mm,
and when you run alone, you meet God.
mm.
That explains why probably the prophets who actually wandered in the wilderness see the stars. They said, when you are there, only the sand and the stars, nothing in between. And you're wondering why the hell you're doing this. When you start questioning, he said, you meet God. I guess questions are the answers.
Yes. And one thing about question is, just when you thought you find the answer, the question changed.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you have to keep on doing it. Keep on looking for answers. I look at life as this door in front of you. And every time you come to a door, you open the door, there's another door. And you have to keep on opening the door. You have to keep on moving so that at the end of the day, you will find what is the purpose of your life.
Right. And I think there's no better way to close the show than that. So thank you very much for joining us here today, Mr. Sharudin.
Thank you.
Feel free to come back and join us anytime. All right. For those of you who are watching at home, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments section. And we'll join you again next time on What Do I Know? Thank you.
Thank you, Sharudin.
Thank you.
All right.
Dan, you were fantastic.
Serious.
You were just sharing, and you got your rhythm, and you.
And I feel a little bit embarrassed when you talk about me spending 100 ringgit.
No. We can bleep that.